Good morning, and following on from our recent interview with Nikki Shepherd, I am very excited to welcome her back here today. The recent interview was a Detox 101, which gave us a really great overview of hacks and tips for detoxing. So Nikki's back, and we are also welcoming today the lovely Will Horton. Because we want to do a deep dive into hair mineral tissue analysis. So Will is the founder of Nutritional-Balancing, and he's also known as the Mineral Man, which I think is such a cool name. So welcome to you both. Nikki, please tell us, how did you two cross paths?
Well, Will got in touch with me last year, and we very quickly realised that we had some common interests. I think you found me via my website online, so just a random search. We both worked in the media industry. We have common interest, obviously, in helping people sort of regain their health, and particularly, it seems, burnt out, stressed professionals. And as we've said before, there is a tsunami of people coming through now who are describing similar symptoms that we both went through. I suffered adrenal burnout, and I know Will did. And it's a sort of lifestyle that really isn't sustainable for many, many years. So I've always wanted to encourage people to do testing and groundwork before, looking into their toxicity, and rather than going blind in spending a fortune on supplements. And we've all done it. So we've had lots of really good chats about it. I've done the test that Will's going to talk about. And finally, I feel like really confident to recommend this way forward for people. One of the things that Will does is there's an aspect to the test which is EMF sensitivity. So that really got my attention, because I found myself in a really strange and unique niche where I'm talking to people about toxicity, but also EMF sensitivity, because let's face it, we're all surrounded in an electrical soup. And I discovered I had a problem with it years ago. Then I discovered there's a huge network of people who'd discovered it long before I had. And it was, and there's lots of research to show that it does have a biological effect on the body. So you start to see all of this ties in. You've got toxicity, which, is going back to babies at birth now. It's quite a serious situation. And that needs to be looked at. Then your mineral levels and your, the nutritional supplementation, which we'll talk about as well, and what we're being exposed to. But as soon as we, look at the full picture, we can clean ourselves up, we can reduce our exposure. This test will just really help people get a better picture of what's going on. So, Will, what I've done is I've got some common questions from clients. So, I mean, some of the people have already just booked the test and they've just gone with it. But I think it's really good to get a background for people who've never come across it. And I know, like in the States, more people are kind of used to testing and doing things like that.
It's massive in the States, yeah.
Yeah, not in the UK. We're just not geared up for this stuff. So we need to raise awareness that there are these platforms out there, there are labs that can help, and there's follow-on support, which is so important. Don't leave people left to try and work it out for themselves. Like, for example, if they went online and just booked a random test. So we think that, in the UK, unfortunately, we're too reliant on our system. We don't take so much responsibility for our health because we're so used to GPs booking us in for scans, tests, whatever. So, we need to get people focused on doing this stuff themselves and taking responsibility. So a common question I get, Will, why are we using HTMA, this hair tissue mineral analysis? I always get that mixed up. Why are we using labs in the States and not in the UK, or perhaps Germany, places like that in Europe that know a lot
Yeah,
about this stuff.
the first thing I want to say about hair analysis is that the Americans actually are very good as consumers actually looking at what they're buying. And so in America, the alternative medicine has been pioneered in a different way, of which is quite advanced. Testing's more expensive, and people don't buy tend not to buy dross online in America. In the UK, what we tend to do is we tend to Google something when we hear a conversation about it and buy the cheapest one at the top of Google. And that's what a lot of people do with something like hair analysis. They're looking at, oh, hair analysis. And the amount of people I talk to when I go out for a meal or get out for a drink and I meet new people, say, what do you do? I say, I work in hair analysis. I've gone, oh, I've had that done. I was like, oh, did you? Oh, how did it go? Went, oh, yeah, I found out I was allergic to gluten. I was like, that's not what I do. So the first hurdle we need to jump is, what is proper hair tissue mineral analysis? Because a lot of hair analysis online is very cheap, and it's sent and put on a lot of the time Vega machines, which give a very basic overview of what you're energetically intolerant to. There's nothing wrong with that test, but it's going to tell you very basic information. Some of those tests claim to also deal with mineral levels, but the graph just shows good or bad. It doesn't give you a number, does it? And I know I've done those tests, and I know where my kind of sometimes weaknesses are with minerals, and they're totally inaccurate. So what we do is proper hair tissue mineral analysis with incredibly expensive machines that sometimes cost, $750,000 to buy. Not a Vega machine which costs you a few £100. That's the first difference. Now, your question about why do we use American labs instead of Europe? Well, I've been in this industry now for 13 years, and I'm creative. I'm an entrepreneur. So what am I going to do? I'm going to look around. I'm going to search for other labs. And so I've worked with Italian labs. I've worked with German labs. I've worked with Polish labs. All of them have tried to copy the original founders of hair analysis, which was Dr. Watson, Dr. Eck in the 60s and 70s. I trialed same people's hair with the European labs and the American labs, and the European labs just haven't managed to get it right yet. So a lot of them are taking hair follicles, so they're pulling the hair out. You get that little bit of skin at the end of the hair. Some of them use that and analyze that for vitamins and minerals. The graphs were really fancy and great, but the company didn't last because people just weren't resonating with it. The interpretations they were giving were not accurate. There are labs in Germany, but we have a very specific way of analyzing the hair, and we do not wash the hair. This is a really, really, really important point, because the ones in Germany, they're washing with chemicals, because the argument is that your hair gets polluted as you're walking around the road or whatever in the street. You're going to take on toxins from the air. And so their point is, well, we need to get rid of those toxins. Well, how are you doing that? You're using chemicals which are going to get rid of valuable minerals like sodium, potassium. That cannot give us an accurate reading for hair analysis. And so we have tried to, there aren't any English labs apart from the ones I mentioned initially. They're not even labs, they're just machines. And my hope is at some point we do get a UK or European supplier that does really good hair analysis testing. And I think it won't be far away. There's some good people out there with a lot of money, and they do try. They will try in the end. But we've also used Canadian labs, which weren't too bad. They washed the hair with water, purified water, which was better because it didn't remove valuable minerals. But in the end, I've just stuck with the same lab now for the last 13 years, because the colleague that I work with, Lawrence Wilson, who I know you know, he's open. I've approached him about different labs. He's gone, well, send through the results, send through, their symptoms. And he just, every time he says, it's inaccurate, it's inaccurate. Mm-hmm. And so he is still using the same lab that he started with 40 years ago.
And just to clarify for everybody, that's Lawrence Wilson, Dr. Wilson, who I always bang on about, is a big authority on infrared sauna therapy. And, I was studying him back when I was suffering adrenal fatigue. So I have for anyone who's been around a while and studied Dr. Wilson, that's the man that Will mentioned. So I was really excited.
Yeah, he is the best hair analysis consultant in the world. Hands down. Dr. Egg, Dr. Paul Egg, was the first with Dr. Watts to actually bring hair analysis to the mainstream. Dr. Wilson was his apprentice.
Wow.
Right.
Amazing. Amazing.
Dr. Wilson was ill. He was a vegan, and he was eating all the wrong stuff, and he had a massive copper problem. And he said when he worked with Dr. Eck, he could only work half a day. And the more he followed Dr. Eck's advice, his energy just came back and back and back and back. And now he's actually going through, a very strong spiritual path. Because the more we get rid of the crap inside our bodies, which dumbs us down and makes us conform.
Yeah.
This stuff makes us conform to things that we shouldn't. And so the more you get rid of this stuff, the more the body comes alive, the more the spirit comes alive. And it's like, hang on a minute, why am I doing that?
Yeah.
Why am I doing what everyone else is doing? I feel different. And this happened to me.
Yeah.
As I followed more of Wilson's advice, I had incredible spiritual insights. My energy body changed. My physical body shape changed. And yeah, don't get me wrong, I get pulled back into life and, that kind of illusion that is our reality. But really, I fundamentally changed from getting rid of certain toxins out of my brain.
We're cutting off our connection to, sorry, Lisa.
It would be good to share any details about Dr. Wilson in the description, I think. I mean, I'd like
what I would say, I'll put a disclaimer about Dr. Wilson, because what I will say is that he's a very forthright, very outspoken person. He does not hold back. He's a very spiritual man by nature, and us English, we sometimes read his content and go, oh gosh, we can't say that. That's what he does. He says it, he doesn't care, and I quite like that.
A spade.
Yeah, well, exactly. Absolutely. And he doesn't like it. He gets a bit political on there because he's angry about, the way the American administration has worked out. And, he's a proud American. Nothing wrong with that. And just puts it out there. So a lot of people go, oh, well, I said, well, no, he's just saying it how it is.
I love him even more now.
He's a great guy. I speak to him on the phone, we catch up. And so when I do nutritional balancing, I would always confer with him, even though I don't need to. I can do it with my eyes closed, but it's good to have him. I like to keep regular contact with him, and I would always work with those consultants in America, especially with tricky clients as well, where they're very sensitive. I'll go, look, guys, what do you think? So really, if you compare what we're doing to what other people are doing, it's very different.
So the nutritional balancing, does that come off the back of the hair analysis?
Yeah, so a lot of people tend to do a hair analysis first. And I say to them, just to save money as well, this is not a money-making operation. I want people to, if they haven't got a lot of money, go and test your hair, read the report, see if it resonates. If it does, come back, and then we can upgrade to a consultant level where I can get Dr. Wilson involved, I'll get involved, and then we can hold their hand through the report, and then we give them lots of recommendations on how to improve.
Fabulous.
But my own little program is called the Mineral Method, because again, being a creative little artist I am, I want to do my own little thing, and I actually marketed that to the corporate world, and that was really successful. I've got some really amazing clients from doing that, just because I had friends in the corporate world, and the Mineral Method had a bit of a sound to it, and so I kind of do both. It's very similar to nutritional balancing, the Mineral Method. It's just a bit less detox. Nutritional balancing is quite heavy on detox and all this sort of thing, and quite a little bit, Wilson's a little bit rigid. Yes, we must be doing this. I'm a bit more flexible and I try and go, look, just try your best. Small changes are better.
And that really suits a stress professional, because they're already incredibly busy.
Absolutely.
And if you overload them too much, they're not going to do anything that you tell them to do, and they're just going to get overwhelmed, like you say. So so my last questions kind of all tie in really, and I know we're talking about the theme of stress professional today, but because we can resonate with that, we do speak to all sorts of other people, but if we keep that theme on board, so you're going to go through a typical test, and a lot of people ask what it would be kind of the common traits you would see in the results of a adrenally fatigued, say, for example, a stress professional or corporate person.
Low sodium potassium levels. So I'll talk about several tests in a minute, but what happens when we get stressed? as we probably all know, the adrenal glands get activated. And when the adrenal glands get activated, aldosterone gets released into the system. Now, what that does, it then regulates sodium and potassium in our body. The kidneys are very, as you know, adrenals on top of the kidneys start releasing sodium. And potassium gets released as well as an anti-inflammatory. So we're going to have a look at a few tests in a minute, but that is the first thing. If someone's on the way to burnout, if you've been stressed for a few years, you can't change your job, you can't change your marriage, you can't change your environment, then we'll see a low sodium potassium ratio. But then chronically stressed people over a decade will see then low sodium potassium levels. And that means the hormones have given up.
Wow.
They can't do it anymore. They can't keep up with the stress, and so they're burnt out. The adrenals are burnt out. So they can't do the job anymore. They can't release aldosterone, can't release adrenaline, can't release anti-inflammatory hormones. But we'll also see a broad range of deficiencies, because if your adrenals aren't working properly, your digestion's not going to work properly. If your digestion's not going to work properly, you can't absorb the minerals from your diet.
And how many people then just go and they're going to a health food shop and grab some digestive enzymes? It's that application of trying to deal with that symptom and never get into the root cause.
It's a shotgun approach. And it's, I can sympathize with that, because on when you start not feeling quite well, you start getting headaches and digestive problems. Really, the digestive problem is the fact you can't absorb your food. And so it's like, you're tensed in your solar plexus. And if you're getting headaches, you're going to try and take magnesium. There's nothing wrong with that, but you need to get to the root cause. And sometimes the root cause is just stress. Sometimes the root cause is hidden toxicity. I would say for the younger generation, it's hidden toxicity, because they haven't, well, again, we do live in a digital age now, so they do have that stress, but they're not chronically stressed like I'd say we would be. I know that you were quite high level in corporate. I was top level sales and media account management for many years, and director level in companies. And so, for me, it was a chronic, plus being quite a sensitive individual, always wanting to get things right, being a perfectionist, that's what got me. And then start my own business and trying to keep everybody happy, whether it be staff, whether it be clients, whether it be coming home, the kids. It's trying to keep everyone happy, and it stresses the adrenal glands. Chuck a load of EMF in there. Over time.
There's personality traits, isn't there? There's a pattern forming, and it's that, lip service, not being able to say no, not creating boundaries. And that another thing I love about the test, because it brings the personality traits through. And it's, other tests that I've done in the past, they're one-dimensional. Like you say, they'll tell you you're intolerant to strawberries. I've had that one. Well, I know that. Mercury levels, kind of, you get this kind of traffic light effect on some of them. The amber, green, red lights. It just it's flat and it's impersonal. But we see that. I've seen in my test, I need to increase my selenium. So that's really useful. So you said to increase my selenium. I knew that I needed to get my electrolytes up. We all get really busy, even with our knowledge. You take your eye off the ball and you start feeling depleted again. And it's not because you're overdoing it, because we are getting bombarded, from our water, air, what the technology in our house, we can't get away from it. So we need to it's a daily approach.
Do you know what? The nicest people burn out because they care.
What do they say as well? If you want something, do it. Give it to a busy person.
Absolutely, because they're going to take it. They're in that mode.
Yeah,
they're in that mode. They want to help. And as people, the industry that we all work in, it's very easy to overgive if someone doesn't feel well. But that's a dangerous game if you've got a family and you're taking on too much. And but the times at the moment are hard. In many ways. And so what I hope people take away from the advice that we give, or even this video, is just keep it simple. Just, you don't have to do too much. And it's like, I know the hair analysis can seem quite complex, but that's why we're here, to simplify it for you. And to really just take baby steps and just get off YouTube, stop looking at extreme diets, just be sensible. hedge your bets with what you're eating, you know, have vegetables and good quality meat if you want to have meat, or good quality protein, and just self-love. Drink enough liquid, but don't put yourself under pressure. Like a lot of these detox programs that come out, a lot of these diets that come out, it's just more pressure. People don't need that. And what I love about hair analysis is a simple test. It will tell you where you are with your nervous system and mineral levels. From then, just take a few supplements if that resonates with you. Just the important ones that we can tell you to take. And we can give you an easy diet to follow. Just a few more veggies, a bit of meat. Keep it simple. Don't tax your head with more stuff. Oh, I've got a gap at 4 a.m. Oh, I can only eat meat. Oh, I've now got to do an hour and a half meditation. Oh, I must go wild swimming. Or, and not that these things are bad, but I'm just saying that all together, people get so head busy, it's another stress.
The thing is with the supplements as well, I mean, I must admit, and I've said to Nikki, I take so many things every day and I have a routine for them. But you don't know, we don't know enough about it to know what's actually helping us, where the deficiencies are, and therefore why we need them. Some we may not need, but also how are they working together, or are they working together, or are they, you know, working against each other? You just don't know, do you?
That's absolutely right. People don't know, and they read in a book or a form, this helps with this and this helps with this, but how are they acting together?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the body doesn't want too many different products because it gets confused. You're trying to help your body function properly. That's what supplements do. They just help the body function better. They're helping it to do it. It's taking what it needs and going, you know what, I can do this myself. Thank you very much for that B vitamin. Thank you very much for that vitamin D. I can now start absorbing more calcium, or B vitamin is going to give it a bit more energy and, you know, get those enzymes connected. And so.
And the people I've seen that have been obsessive about, like you said, extreme diets and things like that, and a real structure to everything, they're the ones I don't see getting well, because then it's never enough. But the ones who just take it one step at a time, you know, I'll, you know, start cleaning myself up, then I'll start cleaning my house up and start using natural products and start reducing their EMF exposure. But, you know, just taking your time so you don't get too overwhelmed. They're the ones that, you know, patiently, you know, get it right.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a healing attitude, what you've just described there. It's a healing attitude. An anti-healing attitude is I've got to do all this detox every day. I've got to take 100 supplements a day. I've got to do that meditation. Not healing. That's not self-love. And in the end, it's back. And so what we find is people acting from their traumas. And it's just a trauma dressed up as going, oh yeah, we definitely need to do that, because if you don't do that, then you're never going to get well. It's all about, and I've had clients who've had epiphanies with us that have gone, oh my God, it was an emotional problem that's making me do all that. And as they've actually taken a few products and done a little bit of detox, they've gone, yeah, and I was so tempted to do more, but you know, it's just an epiphany. The healing attitude is to take it easy. And also use your intuition. Do you really want to do so much? You know, there'll be a little voice inside of you saying, slow down. That word titrate, just chip away at it. And often people, when they do too many supplements and too much detox, they get scared off because they have such a bad healing crisis. They think they're getting worse, or they'll never do that again, and that's not helpful.
Lisa, do you want to give Will share screen permission so that we can have a look at a typical test?
Okay.
Yeah.
So this person here, this is a client of mine who came forward. She did about 6 tests online in January, and she came back to me and she said, the one that you did told me the most about everything I needed to know. Now, this person runs one of the best known companies in the UK, and they are incredibly successful. So she came forward and she said, I'm tired, I have no immunity, I'm easily stressed. And basically I take one look at her test, and what we touched on before, her sodium, potassium is really low. Now this bar here is the ideal range, okay? So all the research we've done on hair analysis over the last 70 years, your levels should be within this coloured area here. And that black line across there is your ideal. So she's losing calcium and magnesium through her hair. So let's not forget, we're not measuring the minerals that are inside the body, we're measuring what's coming out of the body. And so over the years, the Americans have worked out healthy amounts of minerals coming out of the body in the storage sites like the hair and the nails. And you can see here, she's losing calcium, she's losing magnesium due to the stress response. Calcium is a really interesting mineral because it defends you against stress, whether that's environmental, social, home life, or just emotional stress, whatever. This is a typical trauma graph where someone is defending themselves, but they've given all their energy away to other people. So the sodium potassium is extremely low hormone levels. So she's run out of aldosterone, she's run out of cortisol, which is reflected by potassium. And she is obviously still defending herself with that high calcium. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
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 So it's a typical burnout graph. I mean, often what we see is when clients can't even get magnesium out of their diet, not even absorbing into cells, we see a very low magnesium, and that magnesium is being used in the stress response. So often we see calcium very high, magnesium very low, or we see calcium and magnesium high together. Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. So, but the two most important levels for me on any graph are going to be sodium and potassium. Yeah. Because this is going to measure how much strength you have. That's going to represent your digestion. It's going to represent your immunity. And it's going to represent how much energy you have. Yeah. So these four, the first four, cal, mag, sodium, potassium, are called macro minerals. They're found in massive amounts in the body. So they're a very, very good indicator of your mineral status just from the four numbers. We then jump across to iron, copper, and manganese. Iron, copper, and manganese are crucial for oxygen traveling through the blood to the right places. Copper is crucial for immunity and brain function. Manganese gets rid of free radicals and is good for bone health. So these three are really, really important. But the interesting thing about iron, copper, and manganese is when they're low, it means that you have a toxic form of them in your body. Now, toxic iron, I think a lot of alternative practitioners, the good ones, are talking about this at the moment. Toxic iron blocks bioavailable iron. So a lot of people that are anemic, yeah, are so because they've got toxic iron in their cells, which is blocking iron from getting through. So when we say, I mean, she's got a little bit of a spike in her copper there. I'll talk about that in a minute. But when you see a low iron like this, you know that they're anemic due to toxic iron. So the irony being they've got too much iron in their system that's not going to absorb properly, blocking the real iron.
So they've got an absorption problem. They'll go to the doctors, and the doctors will prescribe more iron.
Absolutely, which makes them worse. So iron, copper, and manganese act as stimulants on the brain when they're toxic. You can't shut off. Your mind's always racing. You can't sit still. You can't meditate properly. This is a massive problem for women who have PMS problems, migraines, guys that just have no energy or hyperactive. These three are really important. So we call them toxic oxidants, oxidant minerals. Often you'll see the copper going all the way up here, a copper spike. That person is not well. They've got severe anxiety. They can't sleep. They've got bad skin. And we see it in a lot of the young. And we see a very high copper with a very low sodium potassium because the copper is an anxious stimulant, so it's going to drive down the hormone system.
And is that true? There's a lot of copper found in contraceptive protocols. Yeah. The pill, the coil, obviously, because the coil is copper.
Absolutely. So. Yeah, absolutely. They're some of the worst. But a lot of vegans will have copper-heavy diets. Lots of lentils, lots of chocolates, lots of chickpeas. It's copper heavy. Now, I'm not picking on vegans here. I know I've got vegan friends. I'm just saying for diet wise, meat contains taurine, which will take excess copper out of the system. Vegans don't tend to have any essential oils really from meats or anything like that, fats that can actually like keep that copper down. So those three are really important. Moving on,
that's going to be big news for some people. Some
yeah,
people are going to be
well,
blissfully aware of that, unaware.
Absolutely. I mean, I wish I could be a vegan or vegetarian, but I can't because
Yeah,
my blood sugar is stabilized by meat. I find it very grounding. High quality meat I find very grounding. I try and have the odd meat-free day, you know, or just eat fish, whatever, sardines or smaller fish. But yeah,
Fascinated by this, I must say, and I've been vegetarian for 37 years.
yeah.
So I can't wait to see the results when I do this
yeah.
next. I'm really, you know,
But
and I'm happy to share this with people once we've done it, because yeah, I've recently bought a copper cup and I've been drinking from the copper
I was going to say about that one. So I mean, if copper is being released into the water, then it's a bad idea. If copper is just energizing the water, then it's okay. But copper is a soft metal, so it might leach into the water a little bit.
Yeah, see, you don't know what you don't know, and you're reading all these things. We're trying to educate ourselves. We, you know, we do our research, but there's confliction, isn't there?
No, there's been a big trend for these utensils the last few years, hasn't there? Copper pot bowls, copper cups, copper everything in the shops, which has got to make you suspicious in itself.
Well, the fact of copper, this is a really interesting thing. So copper will make you feel more spacey when you start becoming toxic. A lot of spiritual people are drinking out of copper leaching bowls or eating too much copper as a vegan diet. They're thinking, great, I'm becoming more spiritual. You're becoming more copper toxic.
There's going to be some real breakthrough.
I'm having a breakthrough right now.
But then again, listen, I mean, if you've got a healthy outlook and you haven't got much trauma, your body can deal with anything. If you don't put yourself under stress, it will just get rid of it through a healthy liver and healthy kidneys. But if you're weakened and you've got low hormones and your liver doesn't work properly, that's going to build up in the cells. And that's when you start getting symptoms. So with this hair analysis graph, when you see things that are too high, it means they're bio-unavailable. When you see things that are too low, the body hasn't even absorbed any of it, or it's used it all up in the stress response. So high and low is not good on hair analysis graphs. It's going to cause symptoms when these things are out of kilter. So
what about people who are, you know, I can't remember the condition, it begins with H, where they've got very high iron levels and they have to, or they go and get their blood taken away to reduce their iron levels? Because that's just an absorption issue again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so I actually did something called wet cupping a while ago, which actually takes blood out of your, it puts little incisions into your back and puts suction cups all over your back. And you see these clots coming out of toxic blood. I've actually checked out my YouTube video. I've done a YouTube video on it. And it's actually an Islam tradition. And it was actually an Islam lady that came to my house and did it. Brilliant. Absolutely loved it. And so that cleans out old toxic iron. And so apparently it's quite good to give blood because it renews the blood.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen the pictures. It's the horrific pictures, but wow, you know.
But I love it. I love seeing that little bowl full of it. I'm like, perfect. Yeah, it does hurt a little bit though.
Yeah. How did you feel afterwards?
A little bit drained for a day, but I felt all right after that. Right, so let me just jump across to things like zinc we've all heard of. This person's zinc's not too bad. Phosphorus gives loads of digestive fire and vitality, not too bad. When I see low zinc and low phosphorus, or either or, I know that person's not well. Zinc and phosphorus are crucial for immune system, energy, brain function, and digestion. When those two are low, especially the kids, they're really not well. Sometimes we see zinc as low as 6, and it's like, I mean, low is 11. When you start seeing zinc that day, you know that person has got something seriously wrong with a function in their body. So chromium, basically with blood sugar, blood sugar, we've heard about chromium for diabetes, it's very good, but these are trace minerals, and so they give us a good indication of what's going on, but the macro minerals are where it's at: phosphorus, calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium, but the rest are obviously really useful as well. Then we jump down to toxins. So this person was eating too much fish, and so there's mercury coming out. Aluminium is everywhere, and so you see this on everyone's graph. A healthy aluminium is usually like 1 plus, really 1.0 plus. So her aluminium is quite low, but she was eating way too much large fish, which is going to give a mercury problem. But if you look at her other toxins like lead, cadmium, arsenic, they're really, really low, and that is not good, because that shows she's holding on. She's what we call a poor eliminator. I mean, we should still, as Nikki touched on, we're born with this stuff in our cells, and over time we all build up lead, we all build up cadmium and arsenic from rice or water, whatever. We need to be getting rid of just a few digits up of that, and that is a 0.001 on arsenic is a poor eliminator. I know she's got it stored in her cells. So these ones over here, additional minerals are helpful, but really the graph is about the toxin levels and the main minerals. Nikki touched on earlier personality patterns. I look at this person's graph and I just think she's a nice person. She tries hard.
Can I just ask a question, Will, about the toxic metals, that bit there that you've just covered? If you are detoxing from heavy metals on a daily basis, how will that affect the result here in terms of the things that she's not showing any of?
They'll go up.
Okay.
So toxins leave through the liver, the kidneys, the breath, the hair, the nails. So we're measuring one. The hair is really good because it contains 10 times more minerals than the blood. And the hair is a safe storage site to get rid of toxins. Our bodies are amazing. We are amazing. We're not told that, but we are. We're incredible. We're an incredible species, but we're sick.
Yeah.
Due to the powers that be don't care.
Yeah.
Sorry, say that. So we need to take this into our own hands. We need to learn how we can empower ourselves with this sort of thing to go, how am I? What do I need to be doing? And take grounded advice to move forward slowly, to chip away at toxins, whether that's going to be detoxification protocols, whether it's going to be a few supplements, whether it's going to be therapy, go and release those traumas. It all helps. Could be acupuncture, could be whatever. Now, the hair analysis graph, it's a useful diagnostic tool for anything. You could get a test from us. You can go away and do your own thing. You don't even have to get involved with us. You can go and do 12 acupuncture sessions and come back and retest yourself in 4 months to see if you've made a difference. You could do therapy with someone, intensive therapy, come back, see if it's made a difference, because if it's worked, it will. The most interesting thing I found about hair analysis is I see that these graphs radically change when someone changes themselves, their lifestyle and the way they think. Because your mind drains 80% of your body. If we can change the way we think and act, that is one of the most powerful things. If you take a load of supplements, start doing a load of detox and be the same person, it's going to be a lot harder. We need to turn a corner on the way we are and the way we put ourselves out there in the world. The world needs, grounded, kind people.
Yeah.
And grounded is something which is a real passion of mine. I go to the forest nearly every day for an hour plus. I've got a yoga mat in the forest. I go there, take my shoes off. I do like a meditation which really works, where I send energy down the body, connect with the center of the earth, and I can feel the energy coming through me. All the EMF being grounded, all the emotions for the day being grounded, and I absorb energy up from the earth, up my meridian system and circulate it.
And you know, these things don't cost a lot.
No.
I think one of the you know, things that we can't ignore is that people don't have the budget for a lot of things.
Absolutely.
So
You know,
how do we look for things that can help everybody regardless of budget? You know, we can't exclude people on the basis.
Well, do you know what? I had a client call me yesterday, and she said, "Oh, she goes, I've done so much stuff. I've spent so much money," and she said, "What's this going to cost? And how often do I have to do it?" Because she said, "I just get these numbers from practitioners like, you need to buy this, and you need to buy that." And I said, "You test with us. It's going to cost you £139 to get a test, and then do one 4 to 5 months later. That's not a great deal for one of the best tests." And she goes, "How much do I spend on supplements?" I said, "Do what you want. I mean, I can suggest zinc and kelp, which are very cheap supplements with a decent multivitamin. Start off with that. It's not a lot of money. It's really not. And then we can give programs with loads of free things to do. Loads of free things. It's not going to cost you a penny. Funny enough, the forest doesn't charge you to go into it. Well, it's a national trust. I always get those two confused. The National Trust, well, they charge you, but I mean, there's plenty of forests out there.
Absolutely.
But just want to clarify on the tests as well, because we're looking at the top line figures and results there. But you know, the written report that Will gave me, it's pages and pages long, and there's a lot of education in there about minerals. And then you can have a separate test about EMF sensitivity as well. So, and I still haven't seen all of it. So do you want to talk through kind of the levels of what you offer?
Yeah, so we offer first and foremost the graph from the lab in Arizona. We then, the lab does an automated report of about 25, maybe more pages long about your oxidation, if it's slow or fast. We haven't talked about that, but slows tend to be more tired, a bit more depressed, have trouble getting energy from food. Fasts tend to burn food too quickly and they're anxious all the time. That links in with sodium potassium levels. So that report will tell you all about oxidation, toxicity, the ratios that are out of whack, the levels that are out of whack. That report is great. But what we do differently is we've actually built our own system in the UK to take all the cutting edge research from Dr. Wilson and other really renowned researchers. And we've created our own UK algorithm and research function where we can put the graph into that. So not only do you get the lab report, you can get an advanced analysis as well. And up from that is consultant level. So if you read the lab report and the graph and think, right, that really resonates with me, I've got to do something about this, then you can upgrade. And again, it's not that much money. It's another £139. It's just the same. And it's like, but then you get access to Dr. Wilson. You get a consultation with myself. If you want one, you don't have to have one. We can do it over the phone, over Skype, whatever, or Zoom. And it's just very flexible going forward. But we're going to be there on email for you until the next time you test as well.
Yeah.
You know, I like email. Sometimes clients send reams and reams and reams and reams of email. And I'm just like, some of them, it's, you know, I understand, but that's fine for the first interpretation analysis. I don't mind lots of questions. Over that, clients really tend to just go, I understand this now. Just the odd question about food or a supplement or, you know, I'm feeling a little worse due to detox. Is that okay? Yes, it's fine. I just want people to tell them it's okay.
That's brilliant. Have you got any other questions, Lisa? I'm just a bit conscious of time, so we don't run over.
No, I think it's been absolutely fascinating. I'm sure there's a lot more that we can talk about with yourself, Will, down the line.
One thing I just want to show you before we leave is this is a graph from a client who's burning out. Okay, remember the last graph had low sodium potassium?
Yes. Yeah.
Look at this one. Sodium's at 143, potassium's at 70. The hormones are going crazy.
Wow.
And because they're so stressed and the body's freaking out, the zinc is just being lost through the hair. It's just, this is what we see when people are burning out. Now, what happens when people burn out is that they actually feel quite tired. They feel anxious and tired. So what they do is they go on a form, oh, I'm tired, go and get a load of B vitamins. Now, all B vitamins are going to do is speed up the burnout. So
Wow.
you're stimulating yourself more. So this is where hair analysis is really valuable. We'll either slow people down or speed them up if they're burnt out.
Can I ask a question? Is this anything to do with somebody who's got estrogen problems? They're high in estrogen?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, estrogen, you can then look at these three: iron, copper, and manganese. Copper especially, massively linked to estrogen.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's a form of stress. I mean, estrogen can be really, really horrible for people. So that can activate the hormones.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fascinating.
Yes.
There's so much to learn, especially, you know, where the actual the toxicity metals come from. I mean, that's really easy to adjust as time goes on, you know, the different things you're being exposed to during the day. You know, you're balancing your metal exposure, you're balancing your EMF exposure, you're focusing on your mineral levels. But yeah, that's just amazing. And
focus on your relationships. Focus on the relationship with yourself.
yeah.
I was just going to say, I mean, you've got to, you keep referring to stress response, but you know, it's giving people tools to handle stress in the first place. You know,
Yeah.
if you can deal with the stress and, you know, start to manage it better and take things out of your day-to-day life that don't serve you, then you're going to have a different response, aren't you?
Just try and take it easy. You know, just try it if you can. Just take those breaks. Don't feel guilty about spending hours out.
Yeah.
Half a day's out, days out. I went to a retreat at a monastery once, and down in Worthing, and I spent a weekend with a load of monks. There was a program called The Monastery. I don't know if you ever watched that. It was brilliant, about how 5 guys went into a monastery for a retreat. They didn't have any digital access for 40 days,
Wow.
40 nights. And they were Essex guys. Absolutely priceless it was. And
I've got to watch that.
Called The Monastery. And yeah, one of them was a banker. The other one made sex tapes and sex videos back there. It was just hilarious. And just one of them was this kind of Northern Irish guy that was ex-military and decided to go in this like monastery, 40 days, 40 nights. And the revelations that they had about themselves. And when I went down there, the chief monk, Christopher Jameson, said to me, "So how are you feeling?" I said, "I just feel guilty that I'm here." And he's like, "It's unbelievable how you feel guilty that you're taking 2 days out of 49 years."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Never done it.
Mm.
And, you know, to actually really reflect and just to ground. And it just, we all need to be doing it on a daily basis, trying to just at least get an hour. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, yes, it's been fascinating, and you know, we look forward to talking more in the future with you, Will, because I think you do cover a really big area here, so there's lots to learn.
Yeah, it's a big area. I also cover other things as well. So this is just one thing. I also love to talk about all that other stuff as well.
Yeah.
And so if you watch my YouTube channel, I don't often talk about hair analysis, which is crazy because when I want to talk about something, I want to get it out there. I just want to, whatever it is.
Well, we will be sharing the YouTube channel in the description with this video, so people can go and see what else you're all about. But we look forward to welcoming you back soon.
Sure.
And Nikki, this is like part 2 of our detox series, and this is the first deep dive. So we're looking forward to the next one. Maybe we'll touch on infrared therapy. But we'll see. There's so much to go at. But thank you both for your time today. It's been fantastic. I can't wait to get booked in and get my hair analysis done. And yeah, we'll speak to you both soon. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Thank you for having us. Yeah, thank you, Lisa.
Cheers then.